Do you recall Boomerang from Cartoon Network? Here we will go over Boomerang as a block and later a channel going over the rise and fall of Cartoon Network's only spin-off channel for the most part. This is the rise and fall of Boomerang.
This is Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Hoppin' horn toad.
Boomerang.
You mean El Kabong?
From Cartoon Network.
What's with you, Boo-Boo?
This is Boomerang.
Bye-bye. Oh, my darling Clementine.
Boomerang. Find out more about this new channel. Go to CartoonNetwork.com. Boomerang, it's all coming back to you.
Cartoon Network had started as a channel to show classic cartoons from their library while slowly airing new ones, whether acquired or later original shows. Boomerang was originally created as a block on December 8, 1992. The name Boomerang would not only be a reference to the Boomerang toy, that when you can throw, the toy comes back, but also for the programming, which would be cartoons that baby boomers grew up with from the 50s and 60s mainly. You know, Boomerang, with Boomer being part of the name. The block would air for 4 hours every weekend, with the start time of the block on Cartoon Network being changed frequently. The Saturday block moved to Saturday afternoons, then back to the early morning, and the Sunday block moved to Sunday evenings. Eventually, Boomerang was shortened by an hour, reducing the block from 4 hours to 3 hours each weekend. This was all during most of the time when Boomerang was a block on Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network would later air less and less of the old Hanna-Barbera, Warner Bros., and other older cartoons in favor of the many original shows that came out while still keeping some older shows on the schedule, such as Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and Scooby-Doo. On April 1st, 2000, the Boomerang TV channel launched in the United States. The new Boomerang channel would have a lot of the original 8,500 cartoon library, 90% of which can't be seen anywhere else. The shows that would air on Boomerang included classic cartoons such as Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, Johnny Quest, Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Top Cat, Popeye, Magilla Gorilla, and many more. The channel would of course get expanded to other countries, and the Boomerang block on Cartoon Network would be phased out on October 3rd, 2004, right after Cartoon Network rebranded. Originally, Boomerang would be on satellite providers such as Dish Network and DirecTV, but the channel would later be on most digital cable providers except for Comcast Cable for the most part. Comcast Cable would carry Boomerang in select areas such as Atlanta, Georgia, which is where the headquarters for Cartoon Network is at. Boomerang's blocks on the channel included Boomerang Theater, which would air classic cartoon movies, Boomerang Zoo, which aired pre-1970 Hanna-Barbera cartoons featuring many of the talking animal series like Yogi Bear, Adam Ant, Wally Gator, and Huckleberry Hound. Boomer Royalty, which included a mini marathon of shows featuring a specific character every month, which was similar to Cartoon Network's Super Chuck, and the Boomerang Christmas Party, which showed Christmas specials, a block that originally aired on Cartoon Network just without the Boomerang branding. These are just to name a few. Throughout most of Boomerang's history, they have avoided channel drift, at least in the United States, where they mainly showed the classic cartoons while slowly airing newer Cartoon Network stuff like Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls onto the channel. The only problem with Boomerang was that not everyone would be able to get the channel, especially if they wanted to watch a certain show that Cartoon Network doesn't air anymore on cable, as cable and satellite providers would put the channel on a separate package. In Latin America and Europe, they have experienced channel drift on Boomerang by airing newer shows, or in Latin America's case, live-action dramas and soap operas targeted towards the young audience, with mostly no classic shows. By 2011, Latin America's Boomerang channel was the only Boomerang channel in the world that didn't show animated shows, as the classic cartoons would move to Tooncast. However, the programming there would change in a few years. Now back to the American channel, since we are mainly focusing on that. The channel would rarely have any new bumpers and mainly never aired commercials, only airing promos for Cartoon Network in between shows. New bumpers would only be introduced for shows like Pokemon, Dexter's Laboratory, and the Powerpuff Girls, while most shows that didn't have their own bumpers aired the generic bumpers for the most part. As the channel slowly declined, Boomerang would start airing acquired shows other than newer stuff they had from Cartoon Network. Examples of acquired shows would include Puppy in My Pocket, Adventures in Pocket Bill, and Almost Naked Animals, the latter of which, Almost Naked Animals, aired on Cartoon Network. Other than those, they would air newer Cartoon Network shows such as Ben 10 Omniverse and The Secret Saturdays, which either currently was airing on Cartoon Network or have since ended, but weren't considered fitting for a classic cartoon channel like Boomerang, which also included the acquired shows with the exception of Polly in My Pocket, which was first run on Boomerang and not aired on Cartoon Network. The older classic shows would either air on special occasions or during the early morning hours when most people are sleeping, and with the more newer content reflecting the channel and the channel starting to include commercials. Boomerang would get a new rebrand worldwide starting in Latin America. This would be the first rebrand to the Boomerang channel in the United States. On January 19, 2015, which was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Boomerang rebranded in the United States. They would mainly still air some classics while also airing newer shows. Reruns of The Amazing World of Gumball and Teen Titans Go, which were newer shows on Cartoon Network that were still airing, and shows that weren't considered fitting for Cartoon Network have just aired on Boomerang instead of Cartoon Network. Out of all the blocks, Boomerang Theater is the only one left. Sometimes there would be special events where the classics would return, but for the most part, Boomerang just wasn't the same anymore, as being a classic cartoon channel would run its course. They also have an app now with the classic cartoons. However, many of the classic cartoons are still on HBO Max. Many of the shows Boomerang airs now are repeats of newer Cartoon Network shows with some older shows mixed in. Finally, as of now, in 2023, Boomerang will be coming to Canada on March 27th while also shutting down in Latin America, 2021 being replaced by a TV channel for Cartoon Network's preschool block Cartoon Edo. Some countries will still have Boomerang while others will not. Anyways, that was about all for this video on the rise and fall of Boomerang. This was a pretty short video, but I thought I would make a sequel to my video on the old Cartoon Network by talking about Boomerang to put you guys over. I also have a poll on my community tab for which video you want to see next based on my video ideas of videos I will have for my upcoming videos here on the Nostalgia Network. Anyways, that was about all for this video. Just tell me what you think, and that's about all. This has been Brick Johnson from the Nostalgia Network, and I'm out.